From faulty airbags to faulty transmissions, we'll count down the most significant car recalls of the 21st century. Since 2000, over 200 million vehicles have been recalled in the United States alone. The most common reason for recalls is faulty airbags, accounting for 40% of all recalls. In 2014, General Motors recalled 30 million vehicles worldwide due to a faulty ignition switch. The largest recall in history is Takata's 2015 recall of 100 million airbag inflators. Recalls have cost the automotive industry over $120 billion in the 21st century. On average, 1 in 5 vehicles on the road today has an open recall, putting drivers at risk. We're taking a closer look at some of the most infamous military vehicle disasters in history, including the sinking of the USS Indianapolis and the M1 Abrams early deployment issues. The USS Indianapolis was torpedoed and sunk by a Japanese submarine in 1945, resulting in over 879 deaths. The M1 Abrams tank was initially plagued by mechanical issues, with 60% of the fleet breaking down in 1981. The M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle was criticized for its lack of armor, leading to high casualties in the Gulf War. The U.S. Army's M60 Patton tank was prone to engine fires, causing 22 deaths between 1,965 and 1,970. The British Army's Challenger 2 tank was involved in a friendly fire incident in 2003, killing 2 soldiers in Iraq. Learn how to use the anchoring effect to your advantage in negotiations, just like real estate agents do, by making an extreme initial offer to set the tone for the rest of the conversation. The anchoring effect is a negotiation tactic that sets the tone for the rest of the conversation. Real estate agents often use anchoring by listing properties at a higher price to create a negotiation buffer. Making an extreme initial offer can influence the counteroffer and final agreement. The first offer in a negotiation typically serves as an anchor, shaping the other party's expectations. Anchoring can backfire if the initial offer is perceived as unrealistic or insulting to the other party. Mastering anchoring requires understanding the other party's goals and limits to make a strategic initial. Understand how Barcelona accumulated a massive debt of €1.2 billion and what it means for the club's future, including player transfers and investments. Barcelona's debt crisis began with reckless spending on player transfers and wages. The club's debt skyrocketed to €1.2 billion, making it one of the highest in football history. Lionel Messi's massive contract, worth €555 million, contributed significantly to the debt. To reduce debt, Barcelona must sell players, including stars like Frenkie de Jong and Ansu Fati. The club's financial struggles may force them to abandon their famous La Masia youth academy. Barcelona's debt crisis could lead to a decline in on-field performance and loss of global prestige. Join me as we explore the ancient Aztec festival of Day of the Dead, where families honored their ancestors with elaborate altars, food, and decorations, and learn about the traditions that have been passed down to modern-day Mexico. The Day of the Dead originated from the Aztec festival of Mictlantecuhtli, honoring the dead with offerings and rituals. The Aztecs believed that, on this day, the veil between the living and dead was at its thinnest, allowing for communication. Families would build elaborate altars, adorned with flowers, candles, and food, to welcome their ancestors' spirits. Traditional foods, such as pan de muerto and moles, were prepared to nourish the returning spirits. The celebration was not mournful, but rather a joyful reunion with loved ones who had passed on. In 1955, the 70-ton motor vessel Joyita vanished while traveling through the Pacific Ocean with 25 people on board. The MV Joyita, a 70-ton motor vessel, mysteriously vanished on the 3rd of October 1955 in the Pacific Ocean. The ship was carrying 25 people, including passengers and crew, on a voyage from Samoa to New Zealand. The Joyita was considered unsinkable, with a sturdy construction and a reputation for being a reliable vessel. Despite an extensive 5-week search effort, no wreckage, debris, or bodies were ever found or recovered. Theories suggest that a combination of factors, including bad weather and mechanical failure, may have contributed to the disappearance. The unsolved mystery of the MV Joyita. remains one of the most baffling maritime disappearances in history. See the impact of Cyclone Idai on African elephant habitats in Mozambique, where the storm destroyed critical habitats and displaced wildlife. Cyclone Idai was one of the deadliest cyclones to hit Africa, killing over 1,300 people in 2019. The storm destroyed over 90% of Mozambique's Gorongosa National Park, a critical African elephant habitat. Elephants in the park lost their food sources, shelter, and migration routes due to the cyclone's destruction. Conservation efforts are underway to restore habitats and provide aid to displaced elephants, including food and water drops. The cyclone also affected human settlements, leaving thousands of people without homes or access to basic necessities. Learn the essential skills to survive a plane crash in the ocean, from finding food and water to building a shelter and signaling for help. Over 95% of plane crash survivors die from drowning, not impact, so knowing how to swim is crucial. The first 72 hours after a crash are critical, with the highest chance of rescue during this time. Coconut water is a natural source of electrolytes and can be used to rehydrate after a crash. Building a shelter on higher ground can protect you from flooding and wildlife. Mirrors and shiny objects can be used to signal for help during the day, while fires can be used at night. Staying calm and conserving energy are key to increasing your chances of survival in a plane crash scenario. Discover how San Marino's unique mountainous terrain makes building an airport impossible, and what creative solutions the country uses instead. San Marino is the world's fifth smallest country, surrounded by Italy on all sides. Its rugged Apennine Mountains terrain makes building a commercial airport impossible. The country's highest point, Mount Titano, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. San Marino relies on Italy's nearby airports, particularly Federico Fellini Airport in Rimini. The country's unique solution is a helicopter service connecting to nearby airports. This creative solution allows San Marino to maintain its independence and stunning natural beauty. Hear the personal accounts of survivors who lived through the Wilhelm Gustloff disaster. The Wilhelm Gustloff disaster was a tragic maritime catastrophe during World War II. On the 30th of January 1945, the ship was torpedoed by a Soviet submarine in the Baltic Sea. The Wilhelm Gustloff was carrying over 10,000 passengers, mostly civilians and wounded soldiers. Only about 1,200 people survived the disaster, making it one of history's deadliest maritime disasters. The ship was part of Operation Hannibal, evacuating Germans and Volksdeutsche from advancing Soviet forces. Survivor stories reveal harrowing tales of freezing temperatures, overcrowding, and desperate struggles to stay alive.